Hello, you are watching the latest edition of Dbe TV News. Thank you for tuning in. This bulletin is every Friday on the Dbe TV channel 122 on OpenView at 12 p.m. and on Bricks TV channel 509 at 4:30 in the afternoon if you are a StarSat subscriber, also on Fridays, or watch it on the Department of Basic Education's YouTube channel. My name is Tsehohacho Moahi. Let's take a look at the top stories this week. The Basic Education Department officially takes over the responsibilities of early childhood development functions from the Department of Social Development. Ahead of this, provinces held ECD workshops. We are in KZN, the Free State and the Western Cape. In other news, as the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative enters Phase 3, the DBE is hosting workshops with provinces looking into the successes of the past two phases. The Basic Education Department has launched the National School Nutrition Program Food Safety Video Series. The KwaZulu-Natal province mourns the passing of its former head of department, Dr. Enoch Vusumuzi Nzama. And Gauteng Education MEC Panyaza Lesufi expresses sadness following the death of two learners during a school trip in Durban. We would love to hear from you on any stories or ideas that you may have. Do get in touch with us on Twitter at DBE_SA and at Dbe TV News. Facebook, DBESA, Instagram, DBESA. You can use the hashtag DBE News. Let's start here. The Basic Education Department has officially taken over the responsibilities and functions of early childhood development centers from the Department of Social Development. The official handover took place on the 1st of April 2022 in April. This follows an announcement by President Cyril Ramaphosa during his 2019 State of the Nation address that the responsibility for ECD centers would migrate from the Department of Social Development to basic education. This migration will enable children to receive quality education and best support during the early stages of their lives.
Go and say a lot because we're also expecting colleagues to join us. But let me acknowledge my colleague, Mr. Zulu, my colleague, the Deputy Minister, the MEC from Gauteng represents all the MECs, heads of departments from both provinces and national, the key stakeholders that are here, our partners in the sector, members of the media, and also our colleagues from provinces. It is indeed Program Director, for us a great day, and really a great pleasure that we are where we are and are receiving this sector. And we all believe, I think all of us here, that there's no way of building a better future than focusing on reinforcing early learning foundations. Because we do believe that early childhood education is a foundation for development, for growth, for cognitive development. Now let's make an example in the department. Mr. To say you can't get a good yield if you plow, if you don't do proper soil preparation. And this is exactly it, that to build on the future of our children, we have to do this foundation. And indeed, for us also, as both myself, Minister Zulu, Deputy Minister MEC Lesufi, and all other South Africans, I think today marks a high point as we follow our peers worldwide by shifting ECD from social development to basic education. And I think we are both excited with Minister Zulu that we've been able to do it. It's been the policy of the ruling party, conference after conference, that we have to strengthen and integrate ECD. And I think we're very proud as members of the ruling party and of the ANC that we have been able to place this matter on cabinet, made cabinet to accept and make it a government policy. So we're very proud as members of the ANC for having reached this point. And we already say that despite it being an official shift between us, but we see it as a government, wall-to-wall government approach. And the DG was quite correct, Minister Zulu, about Seychelles. Every year they beat us in your assessments. And I asked the Minister of Seychelles to say, how do you get it right? And the first question she asked, not the current one, said, when are your children starting to go to school? I said 6. He says, okay, you're 3 years behind, you'll never catch us. It doesn't matter what you do, you'll never catch us. And we've done international studies, and it confirms the correctness of the ANC and cabinet to take decisions that this must happen. We've been to Finland, we saw that it's the best, one of the best systems in the world. And they have a very solid ECD program. We went to Denmark, we saw how integrated it is. And all other education leading countries have a solid ECD integrated program in their countries. That's why I say we're very excited as a sector, because as we know, the needs of infants, of young people, span across health, nutrition, social protection, psychosocial, and cognitive development. As I said, the whole package about their rights are integrated in an ECD program. So we really do feel as a country and as a governing party that the new rollout of a reimagined ECD will require us to integrate all our work across sectoral approach and plan across government departments. This ECD function will be doomed if it was not involving civil society. So I'm very excited that we have partners in the fight. We say we are going to get new friends, and indeed we're looking forward to working with the partners that we've been working with, and also that we've been working with also in the sector. And again, to give an example, Cuba, for instance, has the best education recognized by United Nations as the best ECD program in the world. And what makes it best is because of community involvement in their ECD programs. So I'm very excited that we will, again, be working very close with our communities, we'll be working close with our departments, and I say, and our partnership with yourselves as DSD will continue beyond the function shift, and we have jointly put in place, and I do hope that you'll even go beyond your ECD programs, beyond the 12-year-olds, to make sure that we have a strong partnership just around our children, to make sure that we, as a department, we really provide this integrated support that we need. So we do believe that our collective success as a nation will depend on a strong leadership, on technical knowledge, which our officials have demonstrated, expertise within department, but also expertise within society and within communities in this space. And today, as I see, it's not for me, it's more than just a jamboree, but it's a very important milestone in the development and protection of our children. And I'm really looking forward that we will be able to make good of this. I think it's a new dawn, as other speakers have said, to early childhood development sector in our country. And on behalf of the political leadership in our sector, the MECs from our provinces, my deputy, we really want to appreciate Minister the trees, I test it's a real tree, the gesture, the hard work, and the attitude that our officials have been working together. And I think it's a very good sign for things to come. So I want to thank you, Minister Zulu, for your unparalleled leadership, which you have displayed in helping us steer the function through some difficulties, but then, and you also say, so you'll never see a hero if there's no fight. So there must be dust, and then when there's dust, then that's where you see heroes. So I must say, in the dust, you came out as a hero. But I also want to applaud MECs from both departments for even the mature. I knew it was difficult, it was shaky, but I think finally we knew that it's not about us, it's about children, it's about our children, and therefore we are all forced, or we all have an obligation to work together. I also want to acknowledge our DGs, they've been very helpful. I've been in government, I also used to work as a public servant, so I was a makapaka by public service. I also worked as a public servant. You don't want encroachments, you don't want people in your space, you don't want function grabs. I've been there. And so when it happened, I said, oh, It's part of the culture I come from. So, but both DGs have really helped us to rise above what will be a normal, difficult terrain to navigate and make it impossible for us to realize where we are. So I really want to thank both DGs. I want to thank you, DG Mweli, that all the time with your team, you're able to really represent us well as a department, and also DG Social Development. Thank you very much for the spirit, the attitude, and bringing your team on board.
Social Development Minister Dbe Zulu has welcomed the hard work put in by both departments to ensure there's a seamless transition from one department to the other.
There is a period where we need to be focused on the fact that collectively we can be able to prepare children. I was watching the children jumping up and down here, and I said to Minister Mutshekga, you see, we've traveled in other places, thanking the people who've organized these children who are here. There's something else that we need to do. These children copy from us. Disorder is copied from us. Order can be copied from us. So it is us as parents, as teachers and communities, to give these children an opportunity, give them a chance. Let us remove the fear that we continuously push and ingrate into ourselves. These children don't need that. Issues of racism, issues of tribalism, issues of poor infrastructure, issues of poverty, issues of unemployment. These are the things that collectively, as South Africans, we must make sure that these children do not inherit that.
Meanwhile, provinces have also been hard at work to ensure there's an understanding of the role of the Basic Education Department during this function shift. KwaZulu-Natal Education MEC Kwazim Shengu has urged early childhood development practitioners to ensure ECD centers are innovation hubs. The province held an ECD in Daba ahead of the function shift. The Department of Basic Education will be responsible for support, subsidies, and regulate the programs according to the specifications in Chapter 5 and 6 of the Children's Act. KZN Education MEC Kwazim Shengu says quality learning will remain a top priority.
Our centers for ECD centers, must equally be these innovative hubs in a true sense. Since yesterday, an argument has been made that it is better to prepare a child right from the foundation. If you really want to have kids excelling at matric, you can't focus on them only when they're in matric. You must start at ECD level. So that by the time they get to matric, you don't spend millions and millions on intervention programs. A kid must get into a matric song as they comfortable with Bongela and with flying colors, because they will have been better prepared at an ECD phase. And I was saying to to Mr. Ngobodi HOD, the one ingane even the ECD and foundation we want to get I want to go there who don't put your parents. That is our vision.
Mshengu added that all ECD centers will follow the CAPS curriculum. He says parents and the community at large must take interest in their children's learning and teaching.
These kids spend most of the time with their parents or in the communities. There are few hours they must spend in schooling. So we must not allow ourselves to our responsibilities way to swap on the equally. Because if we do that, we burden the educators who are supposed to be focusing on teaching and learning. Because the time that we have in schools is for teaching and learning. The other things we must take care of them as parents in society. It becomes worse over the school. Because Kushun Joe says Nama ECT centers, over the ECT center. It's I don't know. You understand. How does a parent who loves his or her kid oyifisela nje ukuthi iphumelele bese uvalesa ngoba lesikole ngeke ifunde ingane yakho until inqashelwe yathisha.
In the Western Cape, the province held a second chance early childhood development and quality learning and teaching campaign roadshow. Vuyelwa Ntuli from the ECD unit in the Basic Education Department says it is important that there's a strong learning foundation for each child.
When you come or you go to an ECD center and it's quiet, nothing is happening, you must be worried. You must be concerned. Where are the children? What are they doing? But when you go there, you find them learning through play, by singing, by climbing. Some will say, they must not play using sand because they'll be dirty. That is how they must work. This is how they must play and learn. So that's why I asked them to sing for us, so that we get the picture. Because if we don't have ECD, we won't be able to lay the solid foundation for our country.
The department has consistently discouraged bullying in schools. There are various anti-bullying campaigns with the message being the same, that no child must not want to go to school because they are being bullied. The department has also raised concerns that bullying can lead to learners dropping out. Merle Mansfield, the program director for the Zero Dropout campaign, speaks about her experience while in school in a bid to encourage learners not to mock each other.
Remember, if you have the dream and you aspire to do something and people around you don't see that, they can ridicule you. I didn't look great, guys. I was short and chubby, right? And people make fun of you when you don't look like the most popular person in school, right? So they teased me. I had very short curly hair and there was an expectation to always have your hair straight and beautifully plaited when you come to school. You know, I didn't have that. My parents weren't very wealthy, so I never had new school clothes. I always had a hand-me-down. And I remember actually one year, also in my grade 6 year, have you guys ever seen the nurse shoes? Have you seen those nurse shoes? My mom didn't have money to buy me school shoes, but I needed shoes to go to school, so she got me nurse shoes. And I wore them to school. It was terrible. Every day, kids were making fun of me. And do you know what it is about understanding who you are? It's like those things hurt. I'm not saying that they don't hurt. I'm not saying that they didn't hurt me. But I'm saying that I didn't allow that hurt to change the perception of myself. I understood that just because I don't have the nicest Nikes didn't mean that I was valued less, that I deserved less. So kids laughed. Sometimes I laughed with them because I knew that it was ridiculous, you know? And so I understood that. But I also journeyed with lots of my friends who struggled with many different things. You know, sometimes when you are young, you're learning about who you are as yourself, you're finding your personal identity. So I had friends who were struggling with how they identified in terms of their gender, what their sexual preferences were in terms of their partners. And we were in a community and in a school that wasn't necessarily always tolerant about that. And so I journeyed with friends who had that, and my role there was to be a supportive friend.
Meanwhile, the Free State Social Development Department has officially handed over the functions of early childhood development centers to the Provincial Education Department. Free State Education MEC Tate Magwe says this is seen as a unique and significant opportunity to improve access to quality early learning and to enhance the ECD delivery system to better serve the children of South Africa. We attend the launch of the National School Nutrition Program Food Safety video series. Stay tuned to find out more.
I am a nurturer, like you.
Real men stand against gender-based violence.
Make it part of the new normal for young boys to be nurtured and loved, to freely express themselves and to show love in a safe, inclusive way. We have different gender identities, but first, we are human. If you need assistance to help your child, contact Childline on 08000 55 555.
Basic Education Deputy Minister Dr. Regina Mhaule has thanked food handlers and all involved in the National School Nutrition Program for ensuring learners receive a meal at school every day. Mahaule was speaking during the launch of the NSNP Food Safety Video Series. The video series promotes good food handling practices along the NSNP food value chain, which emphasizes compliance at all critical control points, ensuring that the end user receives safe and quality meals. The program feeds more than 9 million children daily. The director for the National School Nutrition Program says despite the challenges, they are proud of the successes of the program.
What we know for sure is that the National School Nutrition Program takes care of the nutritional needs and overall well-being of our learners, and we stand proud to highlight that the DBE, in cooperation with yourselves, with our dedicated provincial education officials, we serve over 10 million meals daily. And I repeat, we serve over 10 million daily meals. And I'm not talking about the learners in this instance, because I know that we always say, oh, we're serving over 9 million learners. But I'm saying 10 million because I have added the breakfast that Western Cape, for example, as well as Gauteng, who have fully, operationalized the school breakfast. So that in itself is a feat, ladies and gentlemen. So a program of this magnitude is without challenges, and that I put a but. Because as they say, we have quite a number of things that happen in the program.
Deputy Minister Dr. Regina Mahaule says the feeding of millions of children daily is a good story.
The National School Nutrition Program is a national school feeding scheme that feeds over 9 million. So we're happy today, Mr. Diti told us that she's serving 10 million because when you count those learners who benefit from breakfast, then we count them and also count them for second time when they eat their lunch during break. Then the number goes up to almost 10 million. And this is a good story. When one incident of poison comes in, then it becomes a big thing as if 10 million children are dead or are in hospital. And if you can count one and say, give us a percentage of 1 over 10 million, it doesn't exist. There's no such a percentage of 1. But we get criticized as if when we feed our children, we kill them. And we don't want to kill them, we want to feed them. So the program is critical for furthering learners' constitutional right to basic education.
Education departments across the country are currently hosting the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative. This as the Department of Basic Education prepares itself for Phase 3 of the initiative in the sector. The second phase was a resounding success, with more than 500,000 young people employed through the initiative. The department says the initiative assists amid high unemployment figures in the country. The Limpopo Education Department says they are ready for Phase 3 of the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative in the sector. With the third phase, the young people who were part of the second phase will automatically return. Education assistants in the province say they have learned a lot from the opportunity. They have added that dealing with learners from different spheres of life was challenging but helped them also learn more about themselves. Coming up, we go to KwaZulu-Natal following the death of the former head of department.
I hate it when someone violates me, like you.
In a violent situation, there is power in walking away. I will not take part in fights at school.
Make it part of the new normal for young boys to be nurtured and loved, to freely express themselves and to show love in a safe, inclusive way. We have different gender identities, but first, we are human. If you need assistance to help your child, contact Childline on 08000 55 555.
The KwaZulu-Natal government is mourning the death of Dr. Enoch Vusimuzi Nzama, the former head of department for the Provincial Education Department. He passed away on Sunday, the 20th of March, following a long illness. Nzama has been described as a consummate professional who served the department with distinction. Meanwhile, KZN Premier Sihle Zikalala has conveyed messages of condolences and comfort to the Nzama family. Zikalala was accompanied by members of the executive and senior government officials when he visited the family of Dr. Nzama. In more sad news, Gauteng Education MEC Banyaza Lisufi has expressed sadness following the deaths of 2 learners during a school trip in Durban. The boy learners in grade 10 and 12 from Hoër School Birchley passed away after allegedly drowning at the Durban North Beach on Sunday, the 27th of March. The school was in Durban for a rugby tournament that learners were taking part in.
According to information at our disposal, the school was in Durban from the 24th of March for a rugby tournament, and they were scheduled to come back on the 31st of March. We are informed that on Sunday, they then went for a swim at the Durban North Beach. That's where they started experiencing challenges, and they were, some of them, assisted by lifeguards. And after a necessary head count was conducted, the educators realized that there's 2 boys that were missing. They then started with a search mission, but then they could not find the boys. They then went to the police station to open a case, and this morning, on the 28th, we are informed that the 2 boys were found 2 kilometers away from where they were swimming, and unfortunately, they passed on.
From us at Dbe TV, we send our deepest condolences to the friends and family of not just Dr. Nzama, but the 2 boys from Hoër School Birchley too. That's how we end this week's bulletin on Channel 122 on OpenView on YouTube and on Bricks TV Channel 509 Starset. Before we go, as the ECD is now part of the Basic Education Department, here are a few things to know. The Department of Social Development will remain responsible for the functions related to social support and care and will provide support to ECD programs similar to the support it is currently providing to learners in schools. Whereas the Basic Education Department will be responsible for paying the subsidies exactly how DSD was doing. However, over the next 2 years, the DBE will be reviewing the subsidy model to see whether it is the best way to support ECD programs. Until next time, thank you for watching.